that up on the TV. Yeah. Well, good morning. We're here for our weekly board session. It's Wednesday, January 20th in Courthouse Square at 555 Court Street Northeast. And as always, we'll start our meeting off with the Pledge of Allegiance, if you'll join us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we are going to go into some public comment, and we have a guest with us today that's going to be under the consent calendar. If you'd like to come up, John, if you'd like to come up over here and share with us, we're going to approve John later under the consent calendar to a position of the North Santiam Watershed Council. Welcome, and thanks for your service. And Matt's with you, so Matt, you can.
I'm doing the introduction. So.
Great.
John Crusoe served on the North Santiam Watershed Council for 15 years, and in this capacity as representing Marion County, he served 10 years. During that time, he's pretty well served in every capacity from chair, vice chair. Currently, he is secretary treasurer. And over the last 2 years, he's put in over 220 hours of community service from stream restoration, planting, council meetings, and general council business. And with that, I'll let John introduce himself.
Yeah, I enjoyed being on the Watershed Council.
John, can you just pull that microphone up a little closer to you?
Oh, okay.
There you go. Thank you.
I got involved while I was still working for the BLM, and area manager Dick Prather at that time. I switched jobs from timber sale contract administrator to soil scientist, and part of that new job was to represent the BLM on various watershed councils. When I first got involved, there was 3 of them: North Santiam, Clackamas, and the Pudding River. And all 3 of them just happened to be working on their watershed assessments, which is basically the first stage of any watershed council. And it was a lot of work at that time, and I finally was able to convince him that I could only handle 2 at a time. That's my regular job. And so I stayed with the North Santiam and the Clackamas. And then when I retired, I decided that I was in Marion County, and the North Santiam was the closest to my residence, so I just stayed on with the council. And the first couple of years, I was just a general representative. I didn't have any membership to the council. I was just kind of advisory, because I felt that it would conflict with the BLM. And so anyway, that's how I got involved.
Well, thank you for your service. I know when we did the Detroit Lake cleanup last fall, I think it was that October, we did the Brighton Bush River when you were up there. Well, that was a great experience for myself and my wife, and the things that we picked up along the way. So I know you've done many, many more of those than I ever have, but thank you for your service. And you have any questions or thoughts, Commissioner?
No, I don't either.
Okay.
Nothing different than just thank you and a long history, and certainly can use your talents and interests. And thanks so much for giving them to us.
Great. Thank you very much. And we'll formally appoint you here in just a little while, and you're welcome to stay, or if you've got some other business you need to take care of. Thank you for being here, John. Thanks for your service. So we're going to move into presentation. I think Mark is here from the Oregon Garden Foundation for a second quarter report, and staff's going to just be here for support, I guess. Welcome, Mark. It's good to see you this morning.
Yes, good morning. It's really good to be here. I kind of a two-part report here. Just wanted to give a little Christmas in the Garden recap, and that will help cover the kind of the economic impact stuff that we've been working on. And but it was exciting, right, Sam? It was exciting.
Had a good time. Quite a skater.
A lot of.
You talking about the pictures on Facebook of him skating?
Yeah, I'm looking for some video. That's what I really am looking for. So, along those lines, we had close to 9,000 folks come out to ice skate this over the 3.5 week period. Pretty significant. I think that's a great start for the first time that they've done that, and I think they look forward to really enhancing that and moving it forward. I know personally I'm looking forward to attaching a great holiday fundraising gala to that next year. But the ice skating went over really well. The attendance for the whole event was a little over 35,000. Last year, just for a point of reference, there was 22,500. This year, 35,500. So an increase of 13,000. That's significant as well. And they dealt with a lot of the issues that were an issue last year, in particular the parking issue, and I think they've solved that. Almost to the other extreme, they solved that, but they have some more opportunities in that area. A couple of things that are important to note and to point out is the resort part of the garden had 78% occupancy over this time. The first year that they did this, their occupancy rate was 37%. So a lot more people were actually staying at the resort. That doesn't include numbers of people that may have stayed in Silverton or in Salem, that type of thing. Of course, there's a lot of local people that took advantage of the ice skating and the Christmas in the Garden. So superb event, well done. The management team and the leadership out there did a great job putting that together. Also, during the course of December, we had an increase of membership by 133. 69 of those were renewals, so that's always good to keep our historical base in place. 52 of those were new memberships, which I think is a really great number. 40 of those were directly a result from the Christmas in the Garden event. So membership is growing. That's always a great sign, especially for somebody that's trying to accomplish some good fundraising and that type of thing. So the second half of my report kind of segues into what you have in front of you in terms of the support that we get towards fund development and infrastructure building and that type of thing. I'm not going to read every part of this report, but I do want to highlight a few things where we continue to develop new and improved ways to fundraise. And most of that is just relationship building, a lot of relationship building, reaching out to people, including these new members, including existing members and volunteers, that type of thing. Excuse me. Several weeks ago, we launched the strategic plan process, and over the course of the next 5 months, 6 months or so, we hope to have a more solidified plan of where we're going with the foundation in support of what's happening at the Garden, especially in terms of facilities and that type of thing. We did a lot of work on our annual campaign in December. Excuse me, the annual holiday campaign. And I know in this report you'll see a number of 9,000. I'm pleased to report that number is actually going to be closer to 11,000, which is the first time we've been over 10,000 for that campaign in the last 6 or 7 years. So that shows a significant increase. Now, we did certain things to ensure that would happen, like increasing our prospect list, and we're working on cleaning that up and making that a much better list. There's some real opportunities in doing the study of what the campaign did and where the money came from, how the money came in. The average gift was $133, which, if you compare that to previous years, it was never over $100 in previous years. So the average per gift donation was higher, and that's a good sign. So if we combine that with the historical base and improving the number of people we get on an annual basis, we can continue to grow that annual donation into the garden. And I hope to take those donors and move them on the continuum of donations, including planned giving and endowment, that type of thing. On the planned giving note, we've had some real success with that in working with several of the volunteers in the garden through relationship building. One of them has approached me and indicated that through some hooking him up with some good advice and that type of thing, he's leaving 10% of his estate to the Oregon Garden Foundation. Of course, he's in his 60s, so that's a long-term gift. But those are the types of gifts that we really need to secure, along with the gifts that come in on a monthly, daily basis. So those kinds of conversations are being taken place, and that's exciting to me because it really goes to the sustainability of the Oregon Garden and looking down the road, that type of thing. We have a couple of other ones that we're working on, some legacy benches. As a matter of fact, after this meeting, I'm meeting with one of our potential donors for a legacy gift that will significantly impact the horticultural department as we move forward. So exciting times. It's just a lot of reaching out, a lot of foundation building in terms of building our base for donations and moving those donations forward. So, and finally, the last thing that we're working on that we're really trying to make a difference and change a lot is our collateral material for the foundation. We created this quick look guide for our annual giving campaign and got a really good response from it. It really kind of outlines what's happened the last year, but we're also redesigning a lot of our collateral material, investing some dollars in that so that as we go out to our donors, we can tell our story in a more compelling way. So those are some of the things that we're working on this quarter. There's some third quarter objectives that we're going to report out on here in a few months, but I think the biggest one is to raise $30,000 over the course of the next 3 months through legacy and annual giving. And that will impact our budget, will impact the garden's growth, all those types of things. So I'd be glad to answer any questions. That's kind of, let's make sure I got everything. Yes. I think it's really important that moving forward that we're really learning how to communicate as a foundation. The garden does a great job of reaching out to the community and getting people there. It's the foundation's turn to really reach out and talk about the impact that we're making in people's lives. So that's my report. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to comment on them or try to answer them.
Thanks, Mark.
Well, I
Commissioner?
think you can see Mark's been here, I don't even know, 6 months. It all goes by too fast, but he's making some big gains for us, and finally a foundation, that part of the garden, that I'm happy with the direction it's going. This Christmas and garden he started with, it's just been a great idea, and the foundation's made a investment in that. But the numbers, he said 35,000 attended during this period, but we heard the number, maybe you recall it, Mark, but it was like 10 times more than normal. And that's that number's wrong, but it's grown a whole bunch at a time when people don't come into the garden. That's what I'm trying to get at. Right. So make more of a year-round interest. The one I do have correct, 78% occupancy at the resort versus 37. So those are the benefits you get. And then of course you mentioned what goes on in Silverton and around. So pretty happy with the way things are going there.
Yeah, 78% occupancy, would just think of all the spin-off down in the restaurants and things in town that really helped the economy over in Silverton. So it's a great report, and thank you for the tour. When we did that just before Christmas, wasn't it? We did a little tour out there, and then the commissioner here had to go and show us all how to ice skate.
You're troubled about that, aren't you? I'm going to tell you a story. So I got a picture that you really like. I wish I had it here right now.
I probably
But
can find it.
but here's the fact of it. They made me come around 3 times, so it's always going too fast. Now that ought to scare you. Yeah. Hey.
One thing on that, we're not going to let our board members ice skate next year. So, three of the 5 board members ice skated and all had accidents with their families or something. So,
One of the spin-offs is the emergency room at Silver Hospital.
It gets a little bit more business.
Exactly.
Oh, hope not. Well, thanks, Mark, for your
All right.
presentation. And do we need to accept the report
No,
as
no.
presented? We don't need to do that.
You'd like to.
Well, there's a recommendation that we do that, so, sure. We'll make a little motion to do that.
All right, if you'd like,
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we accept the Oregon Garden Foundation's second quarter report.
Yeah, I'll second the motion, and all those in favor of accepting the report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Mark, appreciate it. All right, we'll go to the consent calendar.
Chair Cameron, we have one adjustment or correction to make on one. So first, I'd like to make a motion that we remove from the consent calendar an item under finance appointing board members to the Council of Economic Advisors, and move it to action item.
And I'll second your motion. Those in favor of moving that item to action signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we move that to action. And now we can go to the consent
All right,
calendar.
Chair Cameron, I make a motion, we do approve the remaining consent items this morning. I'll read them under business services. We approve an order that reappoints John Caruso to the general interest position of the North Sandiam Watershed Council with a term ending December 31st, 2017. Also in business services under human resources, approve a recommendation to adopt and establish a new classification, senior human resource specialist number 078, juvenile. Approve Amendment 5 with Trinity Services LLC to extend the contract through December 31st, 2016, and add an additional $154,129.20 for food services. Tax Office approve an order authorizing property tax refund in the amount of $18,003.84 to Northwest Group Incorporated, and approve an order that designates Woodburn Independent as a newspaper for publication of the 2016 tax foreclosure list.
Great, I'll second the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, consent calendar is done. And we now have 2 action items. Do we want to take the one we moved first? Sure. Get that one done. Okay.
If I could, all it is one of the people we were going to appoint has found that his schedule doesn't match with the meetings. He's going to be unavailable, and it was a representative from Willamette we're happy to get, and hopefully they can find somebody else for us. So I'm just going to make a motion that appoints all of them without him. So I move that we approve an order that reappoints Patrick O'Connor, Harvey Rogers, Lori Steele, and Jan Fritz, the Marion County Council of Economic Advisors, with a term ending December 31st, 2017. And then just for interest's sake, Jerry Gray was the person who can't participate.
Okay, and I will second that motion. Any further discussion on that motion? Just so people would understand, this is a economic advisors that helps us or helps our staff on forecasting revenues in the future, and it's a really important job, and appreciate the work that they do. Okay, so all those in favor of approving this reappointment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's done. And now we're on to Public Works. Consider an adoption of an administrative ordinance granting zone change. And Joe is here. Joe Fenimore is here with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Joe Fenimore. This item before you today is an application to change the zone from single-family residential to commercial office and the comprehensive plan designation from residential to commercial on a .34 acre parcel located at 925 Lancaster Drive, southeast. If you recall, the hearings officer held a public hearing on December 4th and on December 4th issued a recommendation that the board approve the request. The board conducted a public hearing on December 30th and approved the request subject to conditions. The conditions include right-of-way dedication, a site plan showing parking and traffic circulation, a lighting plan, and screening of all trash receptacles from neighboring adjacent residential and public streets. Conditions were recommended by the hearings officer and agreed to at the hearing by the applicant. The ordinance and findings have been prepared, and notice of adoption was given on January 13th. The administrative ordinance is now set for formal adoption. The board can adopt the ordinance as written, direct staff to prepare a modified ordinance, or take no action at this time. Staff recommends the ordinance be adopted as written, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
If I
thanks.
could, Joe,
Yeah.
were there any conditions and anything further that, as I'm recalling, we had a list, but all agreed to? That's really what I'm looking for.
Correct.
Everything's-
Those are the only conditions that are
All
brought
right.
forward to you.
Yeah, this was we're pretty familiar with this. The contractor actually came in and give us that he was okay with those conditions as well, so entertain a motion.
All right, Chair Cameron, I'd make a motion that we adopt administrative ordinance, zone change comprehensive plan 15002 White, and sign the document.
And I'll second the motion. No further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
it's done. Thank you. Appreciate it. So our work is done today. Wow.
For now.
Fantastic.
Let's
Yeah,
clarify.
well, this kind of work, yes. The formal work. What's new or old?
I don't really have anything. I think we're not supposed to talk about people's health, but I note that people from another department came into our office and seemed to spread a little flu bug, some type of
Well,
cold, which is pleasant.
I'm gonna just fight it off.
All right.
Oh. I'm glad somebody keeps us on task, Mark. Where's our commissioner that keeps us on task? Okay. Yeah, we will read the calendar, then we'll talk about what's new and old. So we're here at the board session. It's Wednesday, the 20th. Monday, January 25th, from 8:30 to 9, calendar review for the Board of Commissioners, location upstairs here on the 5th floor. Also, Monday, the 25th, 9 to 11, management update, location here on the Silverton, on the 5th floor in the Silverton Conference Room. Also on Monday, the 25th, Board of Commissioners, Chief Administrative Officers meeting, executive session if needed, location here in the Silverton Conference Room on the 5th floor. Tuesday, January 26th, from 8:30 to 10 a.m., Community Corrections Board, I believe we just canceled that just before we came down here due to not having everybody here that day. And then on Tuesday, the 26th, 1:30 to 2:30, the work session with Oregon State University Extension Service here on the 5th floor in the Silverton Conference Room. Maybe we need the basketball team for a work session too. No, that's not funny, I guess. 127, Wednesday, 9 to 11 is our board session, again, back here in the Senate hearing room. And again, on 127, Wednesday from 2:30 to 3:30, CCTV taping location at the CCTV office on 575 Trade Street, Southeast. That's why Mark wanted us to read the calendar, because he wanted to get CCTV in there at the end, right? Thanks, Mark. So the only thing, I guess one of the things that I wanted to say was yesterday we, Travel Salem, I know you serve on the board of Travel Salem with Angie Morris. Yesterday, her and I went over and saw Senator Courtney about the wine country plates, and there's a bill over in that's been circulated over in the building that would take the money out of Travel Oregon, which it was a slow start getting that going, but finally got around to granting those funds out. It's been a good program, and it's leveraged dollars here in our community for promoting wine tourism and culinary tourism. It's a good program. So we went over there yesterday, and obviously the senator couldn't tell us where he is on the bill, but we at least told him that that's important to us to keep those funds coming for Travel Salem. So that was yesterday. And a lot of other stuff happened last week, but my mind's a little bit foggy this morning.
Yeah, I have two things just kind of mentioned just to kind of get on our board, and you actually sent the forward from BLM. I'd heard of a plan that has to do with monuments and making a large portion of our East County even more accessible and usable. I read the stuff. It's a great place to meditate. And hope they can find somewhere else. Lynn County's been concerned about it. I just didn't realize that it was including us, so I hope we'll be gearing up to fight that. On a more pleasant note, went to Public Works yesterday, and two things were of interest, and I wish I could remember, and I'm sorry I don't, but we recognize our ferry operators who did a water rescue this summer, saw a young girl in trouble, stopped the boat, the ferry, and got her on. And that's pretty special, to recognize the trouble and be able to do something about it. Pretty much matters. And then we had a 35-year service pin.
Wow.
They're pretty rare. That's someone's been here a long time. Patricia Dorr, probably say that wrong, but she talked about being, it made me think of this, they still call this the Senator Hearing Room, but maybe you don't even know, you should know, but the Senator Building, where the main county office is, until this building was.
Senator Hotel, right?
Yeah, the Senator Hotel, so we've had a long connection with that, and she started there, and she was talking about, I'd been in that offices, some coming up to deal with garbage issues, but there'd be some drunks in the stairway, and
Here in the old hotel.
yeah, coming up to the office, and she's seen it all in 35 years anyway.
Yeah, I didn't realize the history of this until, I started looking at the county position, but I guess the old Senator Hotel was a pretty big hangout for the legislators as
It
well.
was apparently at one time,
Yeah.
but not in the later years,
Yeah,
apparently.
and I don't know where they hang out now. I'm out of there.
Where did you used to hang out? Let's talk about it.
My office, I worked.
Oh, that's right. I
Uh-huh,
should have just
yeah.
figured that. All right.
Those are secrets. Okay, secrets. All right, I think we're done, right? Do we have anything
As far
else?
as I'm concerned.
All right. Legal counsel, nothing? Okay, we're adjourned.